Welcome guys to another Gearhead FabWorks video, and if you're already a subscriber, amazing, I want to thank you very much. If you're not, that's okay, I'm sure you will be soon. So a few weeks back, we made it out to Detroit4Fest, and I had a freaking blast there. I met a lot of good people and everything. It was a good event to really learn a lot of the ropes of a little bit of racing and a little bit of organization and stuff like that. It was a super cool experience. There was quite a few things that I had on my task list that I had to get done, and of course, in true procrastinator fashion, I waited to the last minute. And that being said, I had to clean up and weld the stock cast knuckles for high steer for the Super Duty knuckles, because my aluminum ones weren't back yet. I put everything on there, and then I had to put the ball joint delete systems in there. The next part was that I had to, of course, any good fabricator will tell you, they gotta water their plasma table. After I watered my plasma table, I went ahead and started cutting out some plates for my transmission skid plate / front cross member. I had to cut all of those tubes out a few weeks back because I had to remove the transmission, and I didn't want to remove the engine anymore. I wanted to be able to remove the drivetrain without removing the engine, and it actually works out really good now. It takes me about 2.5 hours to swap the transmission in and out by myself. So, not too bad. The transmission issue was mitigated for that issue, but the torque converter clutch was stuck on, causing some stalling issues. Anyway, I went and welded up this plate and everything, bolted it up to my front lower control arms, and they tie into everything really nicely. And then from there, I had to step back to the rear cross member for the transmission mount that has a couple of tube disconnects and then a couple of poly bushings that hold the transmission mount. And so I had to weld all of that up, and it's kind of a weird cattywampus setup, and do some standoff brackets and everything, invert part of the tube because I had to cut it out and notch it. The next part was that I had to make new tie rods. My tie rods, unfortunately, were too long, and my cast knuckles have a slightly closer offset than my aluminum knuckles. So I had to get some new bungs, had to TIG weld those ones on there and put everything back together. That went smoothly, but of course it's just a hiccup that I was hoping didn't have to happen. From there, I had to make my brake caliper brackets because I had to go from the stock Super Duty knuckle to a Willwood caliper. And there's only a couple companies, I believe, that make brackets for that, but I wasn't sure if they had the right offset or if they were gonna be here in time. So I just made my own, cut them out on the plasma table again, and put a couple spacers I had laying around in there. And that worked out really well. They function as they should. Awesome. From there, we went ahead and had to charge all of the coilovers, mount the coilover reservoirs, and charge the bump stops. All right, so it is about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're getting ready to head back out to Detroit4Fest. I was out there yesterday, just kind of tooling around, setting up wherever we needed to park and stuff like that. And I guess getting reacclimated to the park, it was a long day. I don't know what happened, but I was up for over 30 hours and no idea why. I just couldn't put my brain to sleep. And I got a pretty good sunburn though. It's nice and red. You like it? Then of course, in last minute fashion, because procrastination is the name of the game, I had to throw all the skid plates and everything on underneath the transmission and engine. Had to trim those, of course. All right, skid plate is trimmed up, and that should fit perfect. And yes, I am eating ice cream at 6 in the morning. It's delicious. And then I had to mount the passenger seat and harness. And that was kind of a pain in the butt. Of course, I had to put the battery tray top on as well, because for some reason I didn't think I needed that. I couldn't tell you why I didn't put it on there right away. Got it. Oh, that's sketchy. All right, seat brackets are installed. Whew, all right. Got the seat in there. Kind of a pain in the butt to do that. So there will probably be some future changes to how that thing is mounted, because that is rough. But anyway, got the harness and everything all tightened up. So after all of this, a few days before Detroit4Fest, cranking everything out pretty much on my own with just a little bit of help the day of Detroit4Fest, we made it. So here's some clips and everything from Detroit4Fest and a little bit of the races and a little bit of carnage, unfortunately. Of course, can't forget the most important part. I gotta have the license plate on there. Thing is thick. I'm so excited. Well, last minute decision. I decided to put some of the decals on there. At least pay some sort of homage to my sponsors and kind of show it off a little bit. I mean, it's not done. I still have to finish the panels that go right here, and then I've got to actually wrap it with the color that I've chosen. Can't tell you that yet. Perfect.
Oh, the hammer! Cameron Stooley, Clint Bates, and George Stooley.
And unfortunately, this is where I broke my transmission and I lost reverse, and I was not able to complete this race. However, later in that day, I was able to tool around and everything and do a small short course race with one of the guys. As long as we stayed in forward gears, we were good. Anyway, unfortunately, my day mostly ended there, and there was a few things that broke aside from the transmission. Sometimes you just don't get to go the correct direction. Sometimes you're stuck getting pulled around. You just give it too much of the beans and you break stuff. Nothing like the first race, going a little south. You have this. Casey went over. Oops. Damage report! With the transmission, the reverse band, or low band, same thing, it actually is almost completely gone. This was a fresh transmission, so that shouldn't happen. A couple things that I learned: don't use Kevlar on your reverse low band. I didn't know that. I thought that was an upgrade. The other thing is that the reverse servo piston rod was extended too far. There will be a video coming out on that stuff here shortly, but anyway, at least you know what broke in the transmission. Other than that, I stripped out my sway bar. The splines on the clamping block are completely gone. So there's that. And last but not least, I blew up a bump stop. So trying to think, I don't think there's anything else. Most of the other stuff survived. And that's my bump stop right there. The top is no longer existent. On a side note, I don't know if you noticed anything, but there is a stool under my Jeepster and no axles. See y'all next time.